The medical establishment has fundamentally failed to warn you about the silent, aggressive cellular destruction occurring inside your lower extremities right now. Millions of individuals walking around with elevated systemic glucose, or those who are plunging deep into type 2 diabetes without even knowing it, are actively allowing chronic hyperglycemia to systematically rot the microcapillaries and nerve pathways farthest from their heart. What is manifesting on the skin, temperature, and structural alignment of your feet is absolutely not a simple cosmetic issue or a standard sign of aging. It is an explicit, visual diagnostic map of systemic biological failure. Once you comprehend how to read these specific cellular warnings, you will possess the precise ability to halt capillary necrosis and prevent irreversible tissue death before a surgeon demands an emergency amputation. I am a professional content creator specializing in women's health, deep metabolic science, and cellular longevity, and today we are breaking open the 10 critical peripheral danger signals that prove diabetes is actively destroying your lower extremities. If you remain with me until the final moments of this presentation, I am going to expose the precise preventative steps required to restore vascular circulation and save your nerve endings before the biological damage becomes entirely permanent. Let us expose the precise physiological mechanism of diabetic neuropathy and vascular ischemia. When blood sugar levels run chronically elevated over extended temporal horizons, it triggers catastrophic oxidative stress in two exact biological zones. First, high blood glucose strips away the protective myelin sheath of your small peripheral nerve endings, starting with the absolute longest nerves in the human body, which run all the way down to your toes. This neural degeneration means your feet slowly lose their ability to communicate with your central nervous system. Second, this identical glucose overload induces severe arterial stiffness and microvascular disease, choking off localized blood flow. Because your feet are located at the absolute maximum physical distance from your heart, they suffer from this oxygen and nutrient starvation earliest and most severely. A skilled clinician can look directly at a patient's feet and instantly determine exactly how long their metabolic health has been collapsing. Today, I am handing you that exact clinical diagnostic capability. The first definitive cellular warning is the persistent manifestation of numbness, tingling, or deep burning sensations across your toes and soles. This is the initial stage of active nerve degradation, moving progressively upward in a precise physiological pattern that medical science calls a stocking distribution. Some individuals experience this as a continuous pins and needles feeling, while others suffer from an intense thermal burning sensation that spikes aggressively at night when metabolic rates shift. You might feel as though you are constantly walking on cotton or wearing thick socks, even when you are completely barefoot. This is clear evidence that peripheral nerve death has already initiated. The second and far more lethal danger signal is the absolute loss of protective sensation. This occurs when the peripheral nerves have degenerated so severely that they completely stop transmitting pain, pressure, or thermal signals to the brain. This is incredibly dangerous because a sharp pebble inside your shoe, an escalating blister, or a scalding hot bath will cause massive cellular trauma without you ever feeling a single thing. You can easily benchmark this baseline at home by closing your eyes and running a single finger lightly across your skin. If that tactile input feels muffled or entirely absent, significant nerve conduction loss has occurred. The third biological milestone is the development of chronic foot ulcers that completely refuse to heal. When skin tissue splits or suffers a minor abrasion that goes unnoticed due to nerve numbness, an open wound forms. Because diabetes simultaneously chokes off localized blood circulation, the vital white blood cells, oxygen, and healing nutrients required for cellular repair never arrive at the wound site. Compounding this disaster, elevated tissue glucose provides a literal breeding ground for aggressive bacterial proliferation. Without immediate clinical intervention, these localized sores rapidly transition into deep bone infections, forcing a catastrophic cascade that frequently culminates in emergency surgical amputation. The fourth cellular indicator is a drastic alteration in skin coloration. Healthy, well-oxygenated feet maintain a natural pink baseline that warms quickly upon standing. However, when advanced peripheral arterial disease sets in, your feet will turn completely pale when elevated and then transition into a dark, dusky purple or deep red color when lowered to the floor, a clinical phenomenon known as dependent rubor. This is an explicit red alert that your tissues are suffocating from an absolute lack of oxygenated arterial blood flow. The fifth diagnostic warning involves sudden fluctuations in localized skin temperature. If your extremities feel persistently ice cold even in a warm room, it confirms your microcapillaries have collapsed. Conversely, if one specific zone of your foot feels significantly hotter than the other, it indicates active internal tissue inflammation, deep bacterial infection, or the onset of a devastating bone-softening complication known as Charcot foot. The sixth structural danger signal is a physical mutation in the actual shape of your foot. When advanced diabetic nerve damage destroys the motor nerves controlling the deep muscles of your lower extremities, those muscles rapidly atrophy and weaken. This forces the entire skeletal alignment to shift, causing your toes to curl into permanent claw-like hammer positions. In severe cases of Charcot neuropathy, the internal bones weaken so intensely that they literally fracture and collapse under your own body weight without you feeling any pain, causing the entire arch of your foot to drop completely flat and turn into a rounded, deformed, rocker bottom shape that makes standard footwear impossible to wear. The seventh biological warning manifests directly on the epidermal skin tissue. When the autonomic nerves that control your sweat glands degrade, your skin loses its capacity to regulate moisture, becoming extremely dry, brittle, and covered in deep, bleeding heel cracks that act as open entry portals for systemic infections. The skin may also take on a strange, thin, hyper-shiny appearance, or develop dark brown, circular patches across your shins known as diabetic dermopathy. The eighth indicator is a destructive mutation in your toenails. Chronic vascular starvation and a weakened immune barrier make your nails highly susceptible to aggressive fungal invasions, causing them to turn thick, yellow, and extremely brittle. You may also notice sudden black spots or localized bleeding underneath the nail plate from minor physical impacts that your damaged nerves completely failed to register. The ninth warning sign is a progressive weakness in your lower muscle groups, causing a distinct disruption in your natural walking gait. As motor nerve degradation advances, you will notice your balance destabilizing, causing you to trip frequently or experience a distinct foot drop where your feet literally slap against the floor rather than rolling smoothly through each step. The 10th and final alert is the sudden emergence of localized skin infections that spread with extreme metabolic velocity. Because your immune response is completely compromised by high blood glucose, a minor cut can transform into a deep, red, hot, and pus-draining infection within 24 hours, accompanied by red streaks racing up your leg and systemic fevers. This is a life-threatening medical emergency. To completely halt and reverse the systemic destruction, you must aggressively optimize your systemic blood glucose to drop your hemoglobin, A1C, back into a healthy biological range, terminating the nerve-stripping oxidative stress at the source. You must implement a strict daily inspection protocol using a mirror to visually analyze every square millimeter of your soles and the spaces between your toes for minor redness or tissue breaks. Wash your extremities daily with mild cleansers, dry the skin thoroughly to prevent fungal colonization, and deploy high-quality, non-restrictive protective footwear that completely eliminates friction and pressure points. Lock into this channel by hitting that subscribe button right now to secure these premium medical breakdowns. Drop your exact age and whether you have ever noticed numbness or temperature drops in your toes in the comments below, and immediately share this video to rescue someone currently ignoring these critical biological warnings. Reclaim your metabolic health, and I will see you in the next presentation.